Morning, everybody. 16th of June, Signal Centre Talking Ball. Joe Neighbour, Ian Coleman, and Steve O'Hare. Morning, guys.
Morning,
Good
chaps.
morning.
How are we?
Feel a
Yeah.
bit battered and bruised, to be honest,
Oh,
after
what's
the
happened?
markets. Well, the markets fucking
Oh,
turned around yesterday.
brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't get the follow through, and
It was all looking so good, and then bang, Mr. Powell comes in and says, "Let's buy some corporate debt."
yeah, what a good idea that is.
Yeah, let's bail out companies that are in shit.
I think
Yeah,
he's on again today, isn't he? So,
Probably. So, for those that missed it and are looking for reasons as to why the markets rallied in the way that they did, and there was a move towards risk assets, there was a promise from the Federal Reserve, so the latest intervention by them, to buy a diverse portfolio of corporate bonds. And as a result, we've seen risk sentiment improve off the back of that, which led to a surge in stocks to defy the initial poor start to the week and to the end of last week. So straight off the bat of a 7% down day in the US, the Federal Reserve have yet again stepped in to intervene. This time buying corporate debt or corporate bonds, which is just another case of throwing more cash at the markets. Not usual approach, is it? Buying corporate debt in that way.
no, diversified.
no, quite a desperate one.
Feels that way, doesn't it? I mean, a lot
Yeah,
of companies, in the
Yes,
situation that they've got in the corporate debt market, some of their balance sheets are pretty
yeah.
ropey. I think.
There'll be a few
yeah. No, it is a
directors out
first.
there. I was going to say there'd be a few directors out there offloading a few. Will they be allowed to? Are they
I
allowed
don't
to?
know. There might be some restrictions on it, maybe, or maybe they.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
Who
maybe
knows
they
the
just
ins
don't
and
give a
outs?
shit and they just sort of like kick the can. They're kicking the can down the road. Let someone else deal with it in 4 years' time.
It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Mm,
So the flow of funds from the Fed will be accompanied across the world. The Bank of Japan are planning on introducing around $1 trillion worth of funds into the Japanese economy via their market operations and lending facilities. It's a case of coordinated stimulus across the globe, and that's pushing everything higher. Let's
mm.
have a quick look at some of these stocks, shall we? Just to give you an idea of how it looks on the charts. This is the Dow Jones. So last week we saw that pretty dramatic down day. This is the daily chart, and it broke through this trend support line. And that failure came in at around about a 78.6 fib level from the entire sort of crash move and then recovery. We saw a big move lower on the open initially, but then that was completely reversed, closing at the highs of the session. And then we are pushing higher again in the pre-market today, already up 1.25%. Testing the underside of that trend line. So I guess that'll be the first test to see whether or not the bulls are encouraged by what they've seen. Obviously, they have been so far, but whether or not there'll be any follow through to the upside is what we're looking for now. S&P, similar situation, break of the trend line, and now looking for a retest of the underside of the trend line now to see whether or not, or just I guess to probe whether or not the bulls have got it in them to push it higher. On the European side of things, this is the FTSE, big turnaround after the break of that wedge. So we could see a push back up here somewhere, 6,400. Maybe to test the underside of that broken trend line, and I think it's a similar situation on the DAX as well. I know they didn't actually break trend on the DAX,
No.
so that looks probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
And that's without them doing any stimulus yet in
I
Europe.
don't know. Yeah. Weird one.
Anything you got on the charts, guys?
No, I mean the only one that sort of like garnered a bit of interest today for me is maybe Euro Yen. I just sort of like was expecting the head and shoulders formation, had the throwback, looked pretty good yesterday, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's back up. So there's a potential now for a double bottom here on the hourly chart. The neckline of that is 21.82.5. We're just below that now. I'd buy it on a clear break of 122.20 for potential to return up there. So that's euro strength, yen weakness. Apart from that, I didn't really see anything that I really like. The range in the euro sterling We were looking to sell a rally up at around these levels yesterday. Didn't quite get there. Got up to 90.25, and then we saw the sell off in the afternoon and overnight. We're seeing a sort of like a mild rally this morning. I'm looking to sell into the rally, but just expect it to be contained within this range at the moment when we're getting all this chippity chop. Yeah, that's the only two that really stood out for me. The sort of like silver. I saw you did I think it was a reverse head and shoulders in gold, Joe, was this morning, was it?
Yeah,
Silver,
kind of.
I saw we saw the support on the intraday, and I think it was on the daily as well. We got these nice bullish hammers. So a rejection of the sell-off, and that leads on to further dollar weakness potentially, and that should see this precious metal move up with the gold. So
yeah, I mean, I've been saying about the gold. This is a daily chart on the screen now. Just that chop within that range, really ascending sort of channel, but very choppy. We did see some buying emerge, but I think it came too late. We got stopped out on that yesterday.
Could be a head and
And then
shoulders eventually, couldn't it?
maybe. I mean, I'm still, I think, bullish on gold overall. I think the underlying trend is still pretty strong, as you can see there, as we scroll out a bit. But on the intraday, and what I've done today on the analysis, as Steve said, is sort of maybe mapping out a bit of a head and shoulders that's forming on the hourly chart. It's a bit speculative, but that's why I'm looking to buy closer down to sort of 1700 today on that, on a reasonable pullback. I guess expecting that there may be some sort of follow through on the on the risk move. So looking to capitalise on that and see if we get down to sort of 1700 on gold.
Lovely.
Ian, you got anything on the charts?
Yeah, I'm just, I mean, going back to the CAC, the bellwether, as you say, of the European indices, the only index apart from S&P that I cover. So I'm just wondering whether or not that was the first 5 waves, and then we're going to get this choppy price action. So the levels close to the 50% area, just finding sellers today. But that's believe it or not, it's quite an uncommon fib, 50%. And normally if you hit 50%, you will see a third leg higher. So this looks like one leg, 2 legs, maybe a reverse head and shoulders, and then pushing up to maybe 61.8 or 71.8. So I think we're going to see choppy trading. And if you look at some of the commodity currencies, again, this 50% levels coming into play. This is dollar CAD, so quite an impulsive move to the upside. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially down in 1, up in 2, down in 3. And then Aussie dollar, again, just coming down with that risk off again this morning. But I think sort of higher levels are the potential for long-term selling, put it that way, not short-term. And New Zealand dollar, same thing, 61.8%. But that move high is just in one wave. Are we going to come down to form the second and then go up? And basically all these different patterns are all cipher patterns. And I'm wondering whether or not they're all going to play out today.
Okay.
So basically I think short-term risk off, and then we might see a bounce for risk on again, and then risk off again. Get chopped around like Billy O.
Cool. All right. Well, gun to head yesterday. I think we're all following what you've got to say at the minute, Ian. You've had 2 nice wins in a row, so hopefully you can back that up with a nice call today. Yesterday we had the buy in New Zealand dollar, US dollar, as Ian mentioned, and that was 1.93R to the good at the 9 p.m. close. Steve and I were stopped out on gold and dollar index on our buys. So Ian saved our bacon a little bit, just a small bit of drawdown on the overall P&L as a result.
Tiny, isn't it?
So yeah, happy days. So Ian, I'll chuck it over to you. What you got for us today?
I was either going to look at shitcoin because it's hit this 61.8% fib, and if we see stocks coming off, then it has a tendency to follow them. I think you could see a move down to here again, so 61.8 down to support, and then up to this 78.6. But he says I might just go for the dollar index.
Oh, go on. What are you doing with that?
Oh, I was going to do that as well.
Oh shit! I'll do this one.
No,
do
dollar index.
Do it.
Do it.
I'm going to do
What were you
this.
going to do in the dollar index?
I was going to buy it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to sell it.
Well,
Well, there you go. You two are off to the races then.
Yeah. All right.
I'll
Steve
give it
O'Hare,
to-
Joe Neighbour challenge.
I'm just going to have this then instead. Selling shitcoin at 95.05.
careful,
Target.
that might upset some people calling that.
Sorry.
Crypto
I'm not.
fanatics.
I'm not really sorry. 90, 80. Made that a round number. Something like that. 2.3R. So selling at 95.05, targeting 90.80, stop at 96.90.
Perfect. Good luck. Steve, do you want to go or shall I go?
You go.
Okay, so this is my dollar index chart. This is the hourly chart. So first of all, we've got this trend lower, which broke out back on the 11th of June. We've then seen a decent push higher and pull back to retest some support around here. Also got a 61.8 around about 96.38, which seems to have held so far this morning. Again, I'm sort of forcing head and shoulder patterns onto charts at the minute, it feels like, but potentially one setting up here, an upward sloping one, and this could be the end of the right shoulder before we see a push higher towards the neckline at 97.46-ish. So buying now at 96.62, placing a stop below the lows that we've seen overnight at 96.41, targeting a move to 97.46, which is a 4R risk reward on that, which
Lovely.
I'd be delighted with if it played out from here. So that's Michael buying dollar index today. Over to you, Steve.
Okay, I'm going to go euro yen now. So this is the longer term chart, the weekly chart. We've broken above this downward trending resistance. Had the sell off, but we've seen a nice reaction back higher. This is it on a shorter term chart. You sort of like can see this. We've had this indecision a couple of days ago, and we've seen the bullish engulfing yesterday. Although we've seen a rejection this morning, I'm looking to buy a break of this, as I said, of 122.20 level. But from a gun to the head, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to back myself on it. Get long at one. Oh, it's absolutely collapsing as I'm saying it. Lovely. Get long at 121.52. I'll take 52. I better do it quick because I might get stopped out before I get a chance to finish the trade idea. And we'll target a move to, let's get rid of these fibs and draw a Fibonacci retracement of this move.
Oh, bang on.
Target. Yeah, why not target there and have a stop at 121. Well, long at 52. Let's have a stop at 121.12. 5-to-1. It's a 5-to-1 shot.
Brilliant.
It's a 5-to-1 shot for a reason. So,
Because you've got to be in it to win it.
You do have to be in it.
You do.
That is
so
true.
yeah, that's what I'm going for. I mean, ideally, I'd wait for a break of this 122.20 level, but gun to the head. So what can I do? I've just got to go for it.
Yep, you do. Good luck, mate.
Cheers.
Okay, so news-wise, aside from that, we've got the release of the German ZEW or ZEW sentiment data, which is due out at 10 a.m. today. This data provides, obviously, data on the European side of things, so keep an eye on European crosses if you've got anything open this morning. We've then got US retail sales and industrial production numbers, which are due out around about at 1:30. And then we've got central bank focus again, with Jerome Powell stepping back into the fray as he provides testimony to the state for the semi-annual monetary policy report. So he's clearly not afraid of throwing money at the markets or being accommodative to markets. So he may say some more bullish stuff, which may be good for risk assets, I would have thought.
Lovely.
Anything else you've seen in the news, gents, that is worthwhile bringing up?
Bloomberg email this morning said that finally keep an eye on North Korea. Kim Jong-un is supposed to be sending his army into some of the demilitarized zone, separating the two countries.
Okay.
Oh, why he's doing that, God only knows.
I'm sure he's got. I'm sure
he
he's
was
got
dead last
good
month,
enough.
wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, it was mere back pain, wasn't it?
really.
I tell you what,
Two
sometimes
days or
that is
something.
that's worse than death sometimes. So
Mm.
it is
You
painful.
want to smoke 500 fags a day like he does.
Does
He'd
he
be all
really?
right. He's a massive smoker.
You got to watch that. It stunts your growth. Or
Okay.
3 of him.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, then, gents, or shall we
No, don't
wrap
think
it
we
up?
have.
Okay.
No.
No,
Great.
all good in the hood. Good luck,
Excellent.
everyone.
Okay. 3 trades there: buying dollar index, buying euro yen, and selling Bitcoin. Good luck if you're following any of those or got any other trades on today, and we will catch you tomorrow.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Have a good one.
Bye.